The massive ship appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. One moment the sky was clear. The next a vessel larger than anything humans had built hovered silently above the Pacific Ocean. World leaders scrambled. Military forces went on high alert. News channels broadcast nothing else. 48 hours later, the Scytheri made first contact. Laura Bailey adjusted her suit jacket and took a deep breath. As senior ambassador for the United Nations, she carried the weight of humanity's first impression. Beside her stood John Murphy, a stern-faced general who represented Earth's combined military interests. "Remember," Laura whispered, "we show strength through diplomacy first." John nodded but kept his hand near his sidearm. "Just be ready for anything." The door to the conference room opened, revealing the aliens for the first time. The Scytheri stood nearly 7 feet tall with sleek, emerald-toned exoskeletons. Their forearms moved with fluid grace, and their large compound eyes shifted colors as they scanned the room. Laura fought her instinct to step back. "We welcome you to Earth," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. The tallest Scytheri stepped forward. "We are pleased to make acquaintance with your species. I am Hive Commander Zexel." His words came through perfectly in English, translated by a small device on what passed for his throat. Behind him stood another Scytheri, slightly smaller but with more elaborate markings on his exoskeleton. This one watched Laura with particular interest, his eyes shifting to a deep purple as they met hers. "This is lead scientist Vrexcon," the commander said. "He specializes in understanding new species." Vrexcon's mandibles clicked in what might have been a smile. "Humans are fascinating. We have studied your broadcasts for some time." The meeting lasted 3 hours. The Scytheri spoke of peaceful exchange, of sharing technology and culture. They mentioned nothing about their homeworld or how many ships they had. When asked directly, they changed the subject with practiced skill. Later that evening, Laura sat with John in a secure room beneath the UN building. "They're hiding something," John said, reviewing his notes. They deflected every question about their military capabilities. Laura nodded. "I know, but they're offering medical technology centuries beyond ours." "That's how they'll get in," John replied. "Gifts no one can refuse." In the orbiting ship, Vrexcon entered the private laboratory where his team worked. Specimens from Earth, plants, animals, and synthesized human tissue filled containment units along the walls. "Commander," the report, Vrexcon asked. Zexel's eyes shifted to a deep red. "The humans suspect nothing beyond normal caution. They are eager for our medical advances." "Perfect." Vrexcon moved to a central tank filled with glowing blue liquid. "This planet makes conquest number 38. "The serum is ready?" the commander asked. "It has worked flawlessly on every species we've encountered. The first batch is already adjusted for human physiology." Vrexcon dipped one claw into the liquid. 3 months of cultural exchange centers, then we introduced the wellness program. 6 months after that, the entire species will serve the hive. In another section of the ship, a junior scientist named Kexti reviewed the human tissue samples with concern. Something in the neural pathways looked unusual, different from any species they had conquered before. He hesitated, then closed the file without noting his observations. Vrexcon did not tolerate suggestions that his serum was anything less than perfect. 1 week later, the first Scytheri Cultural Exchange Center opened in New York City. A second followed in Beijing, then Moscow, London, and 20 other major cities. Humans flocked to learn about the visitors from the stars. No one noticed the fine mist that occasionally sprayed from hidden vents, carrying the first microscopic doses of the serum. No one except Alan Foster, a neurochemist, who happened to carry a specialized sensor he had built for an unrelated experiment. He stared at the readings with growing alarm, then quickly pocketed the device and left the building. Whatever the aliens were spraying, it wasn't just air freshener. The invasion had already begun. 2 months after first contact, Alan Foster could not shake his worries. The Scatheri Cultural Exchange Centers now operated in over 50 cities worldwide. People loved them. The aliens shared stories of distant planets and showed off small technological wonders that amazed everyone. Alan sat in his home office surrounded by data readings he had secretly collected. His wife Kate walked in holding 2 cups of coffee. "Still obsessing over your alien conspiracy?" she asked, setting a cup beside him. "It's not a conspiracy if I have proof," Alan replied. He pointed to graphs on his computer screen. "Something is in the air at those centers, something that affects brain chemistry." Kate sighed. She worked as a translator at the Denver Exchange Center, helping the Scatheri communicate with visitors. "They'd been nothing but helpful, Alan. I'd work with them every day. That's what worries me." Alan looked at his wife carefully. Lately, she seemed different. Small changes in her behavior. Nothing major, just slight shifts in her opinions and habits. "The Human Oversight Committee found nothing wrong," Kate said. She touched his shoulder. "You need rest." Alan nodded but made no promises. After Kate left for work, he called Diane Williams, a biochemist friend from graduate school. "I need your help analyzing some samples," he said, quietly. "This about your alien theory?" Diane asked. "Just look at the data, please." Later that week, Alan visited the exchange center where Kate worked. He wore casual clothes and carried a hidden sensor in his pocket. The building was beautiful, with displays about Scatheri culture and technology. Soft music played from hidden speakers. The air smelled faintly sweet. Alan saw his wife talking with a tall Scatheri scientist. Kate smiled and nodded as the alien showed her something on a tablet-like device. Her eyes seemed slightly unfocused. He moved through the crowd, taking readings. Near the refreshment area, his sensor detected higher concentrations of unknown compounds. The Scatheri offered free samples of their wellness drinks, bright blue beverages that had become popular in recent weeks. A young woman offered him a sample cup. "Would you like to try our new blend? It boosts immunity and mental clarity." Alan pretended to drink but slipped the sample into a collection vial in his pocket. "Delicious," he lied. That evening, Kate came home later than usual. "Sorry, we had a special presentation about Scatheri healing techniques." She opened the refrigerator and pulled out a blue bottle. "Want some?" They let us bring home samples. "No thanks," Alan said, watching her drink it without hesitation. After Kate went to sleep, Alan called Diane. "Did you analyze those air samples?" "Yes." Diane's voice was hushed. "Alan, it's some kind of neural modifier. Subtle but powerful. It seems to make people more open to suggestion. I just collected a liquid sample. I'm bringing it over." Diane's lab was small but well-equipped. She ran tests while Alan paced nervously. "This is much more concentrated," she said finally. "The compounds match what was in the air, but hundreds of times stronger. It targets receptors in the brain that affect decision-making and loyalty." "Mind control," Alan whispered. "Not exactly. More like influence enhancement, making people trust the Scatheri completely." The next morning, a worldwide announcement came from the Scatheri. Due to the success of the cultural exchanges, they would establish permanent wellness centers in every major city. Their popular health drinks would be mass-produced and distributed globally. Alan watched the news with growing horror. He noticed people on the street interviews seemed strangely enthusiastic, their eyes slightly glazed. When Kate returned home that evening, she brought news. "Isn't it wonderful? I've been promoted to coordinator for the new wellness center." She smiled, but something was missing behind her eyes. "The Scatheri said I'm especially receptive to their guidance." Alan forced himself to smile. "That's great." But as Kate turned away, he quickly sent a message to Diane. "We need to work faster. It's happening." Outside their home, as Scatheri observer watched from a distance, compound eyes shifting to a suspicious yellow as they focused on Alan Foster. Alan's basement laboratory grew more cluttered each day. 3 weeks had passed since he brought the first samples to Diane. Now their work filled tables with test tubes, petri dishes, and hastily assembled equipment. They had to keep moving their operation as the Scytheri seemed to notice whenever they stayed in one place too long. "Look at this," Diane said, pointing to her microscope. "The compound changes when it interacts with human brain tissue." Alan leaned over to see. Under the microscope, tiny blue particles attached themselves to neural cells, then slowly changed color to purple. "It's adaptive," he whispered. "Never seen anything like it." "The Scytheri must have perfected this over many conquests," Diane said. She looked tired. They both did. Their colleague Peter Martinez entered the basement carrying food and new supplies. Peter worked at the University Medical Center and had access to equipment they needed. "Any progress?" Peter asked, setting down the bags. Alan nodded. "We mapped how the serum affects the brain. It starts with the trust centers, then moves to areas controlling independent thought. Like a computer virus for the mind," Diane added. Peter picked up one of the blue liquid samples. "And these drinks speed up the process." "Yes, the air at the centers gets people ready, but the drinks cement the control," Alan explained. "Small doses in the beginning, gradually increasing. By the time someone drinks their 5th or 6th wellness drink, they're basically programmed to trust anything the Scytheri say." Peter frowned. "Kate's been working there for months now." "Is she?" Alan's face darkened. "She's different. Distant. Talks about the Scytheri constantly. Keeps asking me to visit the wellness center with her." "We need to find a way to block the effects," Diane said, turning back to her work. Later that evening, Alan noticed Peter taking pictures of their research with his phone. "What are you doing?" Alan asked. Peter jumped. "Just documenting. For backup." Something in his eyes didn't look right. The same unfocused quality Alan had noticed in Kate and others who spent time at the exchange centers. "Have you been drinking those blue wellness drinks, Peter?" Alan asked carefully. Peter's hand moved toward his pocket. "Sometimes. They help me focus." Alan stepped back. "Diane, we have a problem." Before Diane could respond, Peter pulled out a small device. "The Scytheri need to know what you've discovered. They want to help humanity. Why are you fighting this?" "Peter, think about what you're doing," Alan said, slowly moving toward the emergency exit they had prepared. "The Scytheri told me you might resist. They said humans sometimes react strangely to the serum at first, but it's for your own good." Peter pressed a button on the device. Alan grabbed Diane's arm and pulled her toward the exit. "Run." They barely made it out before Scytheri security forces entered the building. Safe in their backup location, an abandoned warehouse, Diane unpacked the few samples they managed to save. "We lost almost everything," she said. "Not everything." Alan pulled a small drive from his pocket. "I backed up our research, and I saved this." He held up a test tube with purple liquid. "Our most important discovery." "What is it?" Diane asked. "Remember how the serum changes color when it interacts with human brain cells? I isolated that reaction. Something about human brains is different from the other species the Scytheri have conquered." Diane took the tube carefully. "Different how?" "The compound doesn't just make humans obedient. It does something else too. Something unexpected." Alan pulled out his notes. "In my simulation, prolonged exposure actually enhances certain brain functions." "That can't be what they want," Diane said. "Exactly. Their perfect mind control serum isn't so perfect with humans." Alan smiled for the first time in weeks. "And I think we can use that against them." A news alert appeared on Alan's tablet. The Scytheri announced a global celebration called Unity Day in 2 weeks. Free wellness drinks would be distributed to everyone. "Whatever we're going to do," Diane said, "we need to do it fast." Alan nodded grimly. "We need to find others who haven't been affected yet. People who can help us." Finding people who remained unaffected by the Scytheri influence proved harder than Alan expected. The blue wellness drinks now appeared on store shelves everywhere. Television commercials promoted them constantly. Even children drank special fruit-flavored versions in schools. Alan and Diane moved their makeshift lab to a forest cabin owned by Diane's uncle. There, they finally got lucky. An encrypted message reached them through an online forum where Alan had posted coded warnings about the Scythery. Not everyone is blind to the truth, the message read. Meet at the old water treatment plant. Tomorrow. Midnight. It could be a trap, Diane warned. We don't have many options left. Alan replied. Unity Day is 10 days away. The abandoned water treatment plant stood dark against the night sky. Alan and Diane approached carefully, carrying only essential research materials and a small weapon Alan had acquired through questionable channels. A figure emerged from the shadows. Stop there, a woman's voice commanded. Show your hands. They complied. The woman stepped forward, pointing a flashlight at their faces. She wore military fatigues with no identifying marks. Behind her, 3 more people appeared. I'm Grace Phillips, military intelligence, she said finally. You must be the scientists who've been investigating the serum. Ellen nodded. How did you find us? We've been monitoring unusual communication patterns. Anyone expressing doubts about our new alien friends gets our attention. She gestured toward the building. Come inside. It's safer. The interior housed what looked like a small command center. Maps covered walls, and computers displayed data feeds from around the world. About a dozen people worked quietly at various stations. Our resistance network, Grace explained. Military, scientists, computer experts, anyone who recognized something was wrong and managed to avoid the serum's effects. A young man approached them. Ryan Cooper, cybersecurity specialist. He introduced himself. I've been tracking the distribution patterns of the wellness drinks. They're increasing concentration levels each week. Which matches our findings, Diane said, opening her laptop to share their research. Grace gathered everyone around. These scientists have confirmed what we suspected. The Scythery aren't here for cultural exchange. They're attempting a quiet conquest. Ellen explained their discoveries about the serum, showing diagrams of how it affected the brain. But something unexpected is happening with human subjects. The serum works differently on us than other species. Different how? Asked one of the resistance members. In some cases, especially after prolonged exposure, the serum doesn't just create compliance. It enhances certain cognitive abilities. Diane explained. We're still studying why. Grace pointed to the main map. Unity Day celebrations are planned in every major city. The Scythery will distribute highly concentrated drinks to millions of people simultaneously. That's their endgame, Alan said. Mass control all at once. Ryan raised his hand. There's something else. I intercepted communications about people developing immunity. The Scythery are concerned about it. This caught Alan's attention. Immunity. We theorized that might happen. Human brains adapt. We have reports of individuals who were fully under control but suddenly broke free. Grace confirmed, including this woman. She nodded toward a quiet figure sitting in the corner. Alan recognized her immediately. Kate. His wife looked up, her eyes clear and focused for the first time in months. Hello, Alan. He rushed to her side. How? When? 3 days ago, Kate said. I was at the wellness center, fully committed to their program. Then suddenly, while drinking my daily blue drink, something snapped, like waking from a dream. She touched her temple, but something remained. I can sense things now, feel things differently. The enhanced cognition effect, Diane whispered. It's real. Grace stepped forward. Kate isn't the only one. Others are waking up too. And they all report similar mental changes. Alan looked around the room. Then we have a chance. The Scythery think their serum is perfect, but they've never encountered human biology before. What's the plan? Ryan asked. Grace smiled grimly. We're going to give them exactly what they want. We'll let them distribute their serum on Unity Day. But we're going to make some modifications first, Alan added, understanding her strategy. Their weapon is about to become ours. The scary mothership hung above Earth like a silent threat. Inside the main laboratory, lead scientist Vrexcon studied data readings with growing concern. His assistant Kexty stood nervously nearby. These results cannot be correct. Vrexcon clicked his mandibles angrily. Run them again. I have run them 5 times, lead scientist. Kexty replied. The data is consistent. Human subjects are showing unexpected responses to the serum. Vrexcon's compound eyes shifted to a deep red. Impossible. The serum has worked perfectly on 37 species across 12 galaxies. Yet these readings show that in approximately 5% of human subjects, the neural pathways are being enhanced rather than subdued. Kexty pointed to the brain scans. After initial compliance, some humans develop resistance, and those who do seem to gain increased mental capabilities. The lead scientist smashed a container in anger. Why was I not informed earlier? I tried to bring this to your attention weeks ago, Kexty said quietly. You dismissed my concerns. Hive Commander Zexel entered the laboratory. What is the meaning of this disturbance? Vrexcon straightened his posture. A minor complication with the human specimens. Nothing that cannot be corrected before Unity Day. Is that so? The commander's eyes shifted to Kexty. Report truthfully. The young scientist hesitated only briefly. The serum affects humans differently than expected, Commander. Some develop immunity. Others experience enhanced mental abilities rather than submission. And this percentage is growing, Zexel observed, looking at the data. This planet may be more trouble than anticipated. I can modify the formula, Vrexcon insisted. Increase the potency. Overwhelm their resistance. The commander nodded slowly. Do so immediately. Unity Day must proceed as planned. We have invested too much to retreat now. Meanwhile on Earth, in the Resistance headquarters, Kate Foster sat with electrodes attached to her temples. Alan monitored her brain activity while she concentrated on a series of mental exercises. Remarkable, he said to Diane. Her neural pathways are forming new connections. Areas of her brain that normally don't communicate are now working together. Grace Phillips watched from nearby. And you think this happened because of the serum? Yes, Diane answered. The Scytheri designed it to create compliant servants. But in humans, something different occurs. After the initial control phase, some people's brains fight back and actually become stronger. Kate opened her eyes. I can feel them, she whispered. Everyone turned to look at her. The Scytheri, she explained. I can sense their presence, their thoughts. Not clearly, but impressions, feelings. They're worried about something. Ryan Cooper entered the room with his laptop. We just intercepted communications from their ship. They're changing the serum formula for Unity Day, making it stronger. They know, Alan realized. They've discovered the anomaly in human responses. Grace pounded her fist on the table. This changes our timeline. We need to act now, before they distribute the new formula. Maybe not, Diane said slowly. What if we let them distribute their new formula, but replace it with the original version? Ellen caught on immediately. The version that causes enhanced abilities rather than just compliance. Exactly, Diane nodded. If enough people receive the original formula at full strength, they might all develop the abilities Kate has. Grace finished. A whole population that can resist and even counter the Scytheri influence. It's risky, Ryan warned. We don't know if everyone will respond the same way Kate did. Kate stood up, removing the electrodes. We have to try. I was completely under their control, seeing the world through their eyes. Now I'm free, and my mind feels stronger than ever before. More resistance members who had broken free from the serum's control joined the discussion. One woman demonstrated how she could move small objects just by concentrating. A man showed how he could sense emotions from people in the next room. The Scytheri are a hive mind species Kate explained. Their serum was designed to connect other species to their consciousness, but human brains process the connection differently. Alan looked at the gathered resistance members with hope. Their perfect mind control serum might just be the key to saving humanity. We have 7 days until Unity Day, Grace reminded everyone. Let's make them count. 3 days before Unity Day, the resistance gathered in their underground command center. Maps and diagrams covered every wall. Grace stood at the front, pointing to the main distribution facility outside Chicago. This is where they're preparing the serum for worldwide distribution, she explained. All the wellness drinks for Unity Day are being produced here. Steve Harrison, a former military captain with experience in covert operations, studied the facility's layout. Security will be tight. Multiple Skthari guards, plus humans who've been fully influenced by the serum. We have the advantage of surprise, Grace countered. They don't know that we know their real plan. Alan and Diane presented their work to the group. We've synthesized an exact copy of the original serum, Diane explained. The version that creates enhanced abilities in humans rather than just making them compliant. Our goal is simple but dangerous, Alan added. Get into the facility, replace their modified serum with our version, and get out without being detected. Ryan raised his hand. I've hacked into their computer systems. I can disable security cameras for exactly 7 minutes. That's all the time you'll have to make the switch. Kate and the other former mind-controlled humans gathered in the corner. They had been practicing with their new abilities. Some could sense Skthari presence from a distance. Others had developed limited telepathic connections with each other. We'll form a mental shield around the team, Kate said. It might help hide them from any Skthari who can sense human thoughts. Steve divided the resistance members into teams. Team Alpha will handle entry and exit security. Team Beta will create a distraction at the North Gate. Team Gamma will actually make the serum switch. I need to be on Team Gamma, Alan insisted. I have to make sure the formula is handled correctly. Grace nodded. Agreed. Diane stays here as backup in case something goes wrong, and we need to make more serum. The night before the mission, Alan found Kate sitting alone, her eyes closed in concentration. Are you okay? He asked gently. She opened her eyes. I was trying to reach deeper into their minds. The Skthari are nervous. Something about human brain patterns frightens them. Alan sat beside her. We'll stop them tomorrow. Be careful, Kate whispered. If you're caught, they'll know exactly what we're planning. The next morning, 3 unmarked vans left the resistance base, heading for the distribution facility. Team Gamma, including Alan, Grace, and Steve, wore maintenance worker uniforms stolen from people who serviced the facility regularly. Remember, Steve warned as they approached the gate, act like you belong there. The guard scanned their fake ID badges. For a tense moment, his eyes narrowed. Then the radio crackled with news of a disturbance at the North Gate. Team Beta had created their diversion right on schedule. The guard waved them through. Inside the facility, Alan was shocked by the scale of the operation. Massive vats of blue liquid were being pumped into millions of bottles and cans. Workers moved like robots, their expressions blank. Ryan's voice came through their hidden earpieces, security cameras going offline in 3, 2, 1. Move, Steve whispered. They rushed to the main control room, where the serum formula was programmed into the mixing computers. Alan quickly plugged in a device that uploaded their version of the formula. The system accepted the change without any alerts. It's done, Alan said. All batches will now be made with our version of the serum. Too easy, Grace muttered, looking around nervously. Let's get out before. A loud alarm suddenly blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed everywhere. What happened? Steve demanded into his communicator. Ryan's panicked voice came back. They detected my hack. I don't know how. In the control room doorway, a tall Skthari appeared, flanked by 2 human security guards with blank expressions. The alien's compound eyes shifted to a deep purple as it recognized Alan from surveillance footage. The resistant one, the Scatheri hissed. Vrex Khan will be pleased when we deliver you to him. Grace pulled out her weapon. Steve moved into a fighting stance. Alan backed toward the control panel, knowing they couldn't be captured now. Not when they were so close. Then something unexpected happened. The human guards suddenly stopped, their blank expressions changing to confusion. They looked at the Scatheri, then at the resistance members. "What's happening?" one guard asked, holding his head. The Scatheri turned in alarm. "Impossible." Back at resistance headquarters, Kate Foster smiled as she concentrated with all her strength. "I reached them," she whispered to Diane. "I reached their minds." Unity Day arrived with perfect weather across the globe. The Scatheri had planned everything carefully. In every major city, celebration stages were set up with massive screens showing the alien ambassadors giving speeches about friendship and cooperation between species. Crowds gathered eagerly, many already under the influence of the serum from regular visits to the wellness centers. Workers passed out free blue drinks to everyone. The Scatheri watched from stages and ships, expecting to witness the final step in their conquest. In the Resistance headquarters, Alan, Grace, and the others who had barely escaped the distribution facility watched the events unfold on multiple screens. Their mission had succeeded despite the close call. The Scatheri hadn't discovered the formula switch. "It's starting," Ryan said, pointing to scenes of people drinking the blue liquid all around the world. Kate sat with the other enhanced humans in a circle, their eyes closed in concentration. They had been preparing for this moment, strengthening their mental connections to help guide the awakening they hoped would come. What if it doesn't work? Diane worried. What if only certain people develop the abilities? "Then we fight anyway," Grace replied grimly. This was always a gamble. On the main screen, they watched as people in a Paris celebration drank deeply from their blue cups. For several minutes, nothing seemed different. Then a young woman in the crowd suddenly dropped her cup, her hands going to her head. Others around her did the same. The camera zoomed in on confused faces. Similar scenes played out in New York, Tokyo, Rio de Janeiro, and dozens of other cities. People stumbled, held their heads, looked around as if seeing their surroundings for the first time. "They're breaking free," Alan whispered, just like Kate did. On the London stage, a Scatheri ambassador stopped mid-speech, his compound eyes rapidly changing colors in what appeared to be panic. He pressed a device on his wrist, speaking urgently in his native language. Ran, monitoring alien communications, translated. "He's reporting unexpected reactions in the humans. He's requesting emergency extraction." In Moscow, the crowd began to move away from the Scatheri on stage, not in fear, but with purpose, as if they suddenly understood something important. Security guards who moments before had been protecting the aliens now turned to face them with clear eyes. "It's not just freedom from control," Kate said, opening her eyes. "Can you feel it? Millions of minds awakening at once, connecting." Alan could not feel it himself, having never been under the serum's influence, but he saw the evidence on the screens. In city after city, humans looked at each other with new understanding. Some pointed to their heads, then to others, communicating without words. In Beijing, a woman approached the Scatheri stage fearlessly. When guards tried to stop her, she simply looked at them, and they stepped aside. On camera, her voice carried clearly, "We see you now. We know what you are, what you planned." The Scatheri ambassador backed away, his eyes flashing red with alarm. The Resistance headquarters erupted in cheers as they watched similar confrontations around the world. The Scatheri were retreating everywhere, their human security forces no longer under control. "They underestimated us," Diane said. "Their serum was designed for hive mind species. They never imagined it would connect humans to each other instead of to them." Reports flooded in from their contacts worldwide. Humans were developing various mental abilities. Some could sense emotions. Others could share thoughts over short distances. Many could feel the Scatheri presence and intentions clearly now. Most importantly, they were organizing. Within hours, groups formed around those with the strongest abilities. They surrounded Scatheri wellness centers and exchange buildings. The aliens found themselves trapped. Their perfect plan collapsed. In orbit, the massive mothership began powering its engines. Several smaller craft attempted to leave Earth's atmosphere, but were met by military jets. The pilots, now free from influence and able to sense the aliens' plans, were ready. Grace received a call from her military contacts. The president is conscious again. All high government officials are clearing their heads. They're ordering worldwide capture of all Scatheri on the planet. Kate stood up suddenly. They're frightened. I can feel their fear. The Scatheri have never faced anything like this. What are they planning? Alan asked. Escape, Kate replied. But first, she closed her eyes. They're destroying their research. They don't want anyone to know. Know what? Grace demanded. Kate opened her eyes. That they've created something they can't control. Us. 3 days after Unity Day, the world had changed completely. Governments established special teams of enhanced humans to coordinate the global response. Military units surrounded all Scatheri facilities. The mothership remained in orbit, seemingly unable to decide whether to flee or fight. Alan and Diane worked nonstop in a new laboratory provided by the government. They studied the serum and its effects on human brain tissue, amazed by the results. The neural pathways continue to strengthen, Diane said, looking through a microscope. The subjects from the first wave are developing even more abilities. Alan nodded. Kate can now communicate mentally with people over a mile away. Some others are showing signs of telekinesis. Grace entered the lab with Kate and several military officials. We need your findings immediately. The president is meeting with world leaders in 1 hour to decide our next move. The Scatheri are preparing something, Kate said. Her eyes had a distant look that Alan now recognized as her connecting with the alien minds. They're going to try one last tactic before retreating. Outside, the sky darkened as smaller Scatheri ships positioned themselves over major cities. People looked up in fear, but remained surprisingly calm. The mental network that had formed among enhanced humans spread messages of unity and organization faster than panic could take hold. In Washington, D.C., Laura Bailey, the ambassador who had first met the Scatheri, now stood in the White House Situation Room. Her mind had been one of the first to break free after Unity Day. We need to strike now, she urged the president. I can sense their intentions. They plan to release a gas version of their new serum into the atmosphere. Military leaders presented a coordinated attack plan. Enhanced humans would be paired with fighter pilots, helping them sense and predict Scatheri movements. Others would infiltrate landed ships to disable them from within. Around the world, the counterattack began. Fighter jets rose to meet the alien vessels. On the ground, special units approached Scatheri facilities. But the most unusual sight was groups of enhanced humans standing in open areas, eyes closed, minds connected. Kate led one such group outside the main Scatheri command center in Denver. Ellen watched nervously from a safe distance as she and 20 others focused their combined mental energy. Inside the facility, Scatheri soldiers suddenly stopped moving. Their compound eyes flashed between colors and confusion. Some dropped their weapons. Others turned on each other. It's working, Alan whispered to Grace. They're using the hive mind connection against them. Similar scenes played out worldwide. The Scatheri, so dependent on their mental network, found it invaded by human thoughts. Their coordinated movements became chaotic. Their ships veered off course. In orbit, the mothership powered weapons systems, preparing to fire on major cities. But before they could launch, something unexpected happened. Human engineers, guided by enhanced minds that could now understand Scatheri technology, activated a global shield system developed using information taken from captured alien databases. When the mothership fired, their weapons' energy scattered harmlessly against the shield. In response, ground-based defenses targeted the ship's engines, disabling them with surprising accuracy. On the Denver battlefield, a tall figure emerged from the Scytheri command center. Lead scientist Vrexcon, his exoskeleton damaged and his movements unsteady, approached the human lines under a flag of truce. Laura Bailey met him halfway. "You've lost," she said simply. "Impossible." Vrexcon's translator device crackled. The serum was perfect, tested on 37 species. "But not on humans," Laura replied. "You gave us your greatest weapon, and we turned it against you." 2 days later, in the United Nations Hall, Vrexcon signed the surrender document before representatives of Earth's nations. The remaining Scytheri would be allowed to leave with a clear message to their empire. Earth was now classified as a forbidden world, too dangerous to approach. As the last alien ships departed Earth's atmosphere, Kate took Alan's hand as they watched from the rooftop of the research facility. "They'll tell others about us now," she said, "about what happened when they tried to conquer humans." "Do you think they'll be back?" Alan asked. Kate smiled, her eyes briefly glowing with the new energy that now connected millions of human minds across the planet. "No, but I think we'll be going to them one day. They awakened something in us, something that was always there, waiting." Above them, the stars seemed closer somehow, no longer distant and unreachable. Humanity had changed forever, turned from prey into something the galaxy had never seen before, all because a perfect mind control serum wasn't so perfect after all.